welcome back to our Studio 899 Conversations. Now, we just played a clip from Stone Boys Gidigba video premiere or movie premiere, I must say, that happened at the premises of 3 Music, as well as we also played that jam, Lickle, from Joe Boy. I love that jam. I love the rhythm. You should have seen us dancing in the studio. I did post a video of that on Snapchat. And Kitty's Champagne as well. Talking Kitty and Camido, they are set for a big concert in the Caribbean region as well. So shout out to the boys taking Afro beats to the next level. And big up to my man Osman up inside Belize. It's going to be a jam though. Anyway, we'll bring you updates on all the conversations later on. Yesterday, we had a very good talk about retiring, who retires the artist. And we had the conversation coming from the artist's point of view. So Prince Bright, together with Trigmatic, we're here live in the studio and on Zoom, where Prince Bright is in the UK after performance of the GMA UK as well. A massive performance on this, and shout outs going out to him. But this morning, we want to get our industry personalities and gatekeepers to give us insights into this conversation, which sparked a heated debate in our studios. And we are honored to have the likes of Mr. Ni Tagoe. I beg your pardon, I left out the name earlier on when I was addressing the guests who'll be on the show. So Ni, please pardon me on that. It's good to catch up after many years or months, if I can say. And also legendary producer Hammer of the last two, who joins us here. Let me tease my other guest, who my brother Charles says he pays his bid 40 CDs on the platform. But anyway, hey, Arnold Asomabedi, good morning going out to you as well, who's also live on Zoom with us. And in-house here, we also have legendary super producer Weiyi Oteng, who's here to have the conversation on who retires the artist. So, gentlemen, if I can get videos of all of them on the screens in a picture-in-picture, thank you very much. Good morning and welcome to our studios and welcome to the conversation this morning. Oteng, since I can see you first here, let me say good morning to you.
You want trouble?
I want trouble, bro. I want trouble.
Good morning, and good morning to everybody listening and watching out there, Charlie.
Yes.
We did here.
It was a pretty heated, I wouldn't say argument, but debate in the studio, trying to come to terms with artist performance, artist longevity, and artist lifespan and artist career, which is of huge concern to the fan base. And Miss G raised a very important point that communication from the artist to the fan is very important, as you can't hold a fan in waiting when you haven't said anything and assume that they do understand what is happening to you. The fan would then have a right to retire you and pass comments that would deem it best fit to describe the state that you find yourself in, which is cold. So I want to get everybody's opinion on this. I don't know if I have Ham of the last two on the line and ready to join us via the Zoom link. Well, I do not have any confirmation on that. But Oteng, let me start off with you in here in the studio. So, okay, I'm told they are actually online now. Or even before we jump into the convo real quickly, just spare a minute. I know you are with Obrafour. How is business?
I knew you'd be going there.
I will go there by all means.
Obrafour is good. He's fine. He's doing well. What's been going on behind the scenes?
Like?
And just so to let people know, every month about a show or two he plays. So sometimes...
Where? In this Ghana?
Or here.
I can attest to that.
Here. I mean, not just that, but for some sake, I'll put it out there that even we go to the extent of rejecting shows if it doesn't deem fit.
Maybe
the brand's ways of doing things. So
jumping off from doing shows, performances, I want to come to something that Ms. G mentioned. Is Obrafour going to release any new songs?
Obrafour has some good things coming up.
Yeah, I want details.
Unfortunately, I can't give you a lot as at this moment.
When was Obrafour's last release?
I think it's been like 5-6 years now. But don't forget, Obrafour, anytime he has a song out there, it takes the people after enjoying, the beats, his ways of doing things, to now sit and think through
Miss
the
you,
words.
would Obrafo's situation
So-
be a classic example of what we're talking about?
You know what I was trying to do? I wanted to go on Obrafo's page to see if he's been updating us on all these performances that he's had. No, because you know what? How I asked him,
We
I
are
said,
angry
where?
with the artist.
You know-
Oteng, understand? We are angry with the artist, so we want
no,
to, we want
You
to
see,
vent today.
this is a very good conversation. You know
Yeah,
why?
yeah.
Because we live in a part of the world where we're getting exposed to the online thing. One, per the artist. Secondly, people used to be behind the scenes, do their things, and have producers come carry, give them money, and go get the job done. So now when you have, aside the new school people who came to meet something like the indies, you need to do your own thing and keep moving. All the old folks, they've been like babies. They've been pampered. And as of now, I will be very real and honest with you. If you don't still calm them and make them feel cool and tell them you need to do this, you need to do that.
Wait, in reference to, I didn't catch that bit. In reference to who are you making?
In reference to
promotion of themselves, basically.
you know, putting themselves even out there, it becomes a problem. Why? They are used to the situation where Big Ben has dropped some money in your account.
Yeah.
You know, some money has been deposited. 14 inlays.
That is from artists back in the day you're talking
Yes.
about. Yeah.
I mean, because they are like the people that we're talking about. For the new school, I mean, we have nothing to say about them because whether they're doing it or not, they find a way to make themselves relevant through the social media to let you know. I mean, so many other people. Prior Tintin, when last did you hear him release songs? But every day he's on his social media trying to, churn out some few comics here and there and letting you know that he's coming up with something new, blah, 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 blah. You understand? People are getting into it. Others needs to be pampered because that is not what they know. I spoke to one art and you know what he told me? Say, Charlie, and yes, I mean, you more. But, say, no one ever mausika say.
He's
No, but I
said
like
something
Wales,
also that
you've been very real. This is some of the things that the artists themselves are refusing to accept.
Yeah.
And you being a producer telling us the truth. Because Obrafo's last post was on the 13th of October. We're in 2nd or 3rd November. How do I know? The last show he said he was doing was on the 30th. Was on the 30th of July.
Yesterday, Trigmatter said he had a team that handled his PR.
Well,
does Obrafo have a team?
Well, how does I, as a consumer, know? And what do I care? All I want to know is to see you.
Sometimes we'll put everything out the way it is because it becomes a case study for people out there. You see, I mean, shouts to the new age still.
Oteng, 1 second. I want to confirm if we have our guests on the line joining us.
Right.
Can they hear me, if possible? I think I see Tagoe and I see Hammer of the last two as well. Please, if you can unmute your microphones and join in the conversation. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yes. So, yes. Okay, I can hear Hammer. Please, Nia, good morning. Please, can you hear us?
Good morning. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Fantastic. Yes. Thank you very, very much as well. Oteng, let me just jump onto Niai and Hammer this morning, and then we'll come back to Obrafo's special case conversation as well.
We'll come to the entire case.
Let me start off with you, Hammer. So we've been talking about who retires the artist, and you've worked with only God knows a number of artists, probably an uncountable number, and some of them have fallen off. We haven't heard from them. We can't tell. There haven't been any communication to the fans. Some come with the excuse that they are, because of their legendary status, they've changed the rhythm of releases of their music. Others, for so many reasons that we, the fans, are not aware of, have held on to release of the music. Hence, the way we would position them as cold artists. And when I say cold artists, as in we have relegated them to a point where we deem them not active in music anymore. What is your general, opinion on such a conversation?
Well, artists, I think that, honestly, the only one that can retire an artist is an artist. I don't think any external force can retire any artist. If you are irrelevant, if you're not in vogue, you are the one who wants it so. I don't think the media or your fans can shut you up. if you see, it's about surviving the test of time. Sooner or later, time will leave you. The trick is to keep up with time. Now, time is in quotes a bee. You can't expect time to go your way. Time is going no matter what you want, what you think, what you're doing. So you have to keep up with time. Now, I was talking to Baba Sadiq this morning in our usual early morning conversations, and we were talking about how time can leave you. You see, we're talking about the black sheriff and their lingua now, the way they converse when they are talking, the languages they use, the conversation when they are conversing with somebody, the language they use. When we were in school, when you were in Motown, when I was in Presec, the language we used to use, the slang in the pidgin, are there for you and these things. All these things, some of our parents don't know them. They don't know them because their time, they didn't have that lingua. So if you don't keep up with time, you will be left behind. Now, if an artist decides that, we don't hear from an artist anymore, it is because the artist hasn't put out real music that people can connect with. You don't have to follow the crowd. Now, mind you, me saying that you should keep up with time in no way means that you have to do what the youth boys are doing. But you have to keep up with the audience because we grow with our audience. The people who used to like Hammer a lot, most of them are in banking halls right now, like Niaite and like Niai and the rest. You have people who grew up with me when I was 22 and I released Paimuka 99. The people who were in school then, the people who were in primary school to the people who were in uni were my fans. Now, all those people are big boys right now. So I need to follow them and keep feeding them. If I say I want to go and feed the youth right now, I have to bring my mindset down to the youth. If I want to go and feed the youth right now, I need to play the funk that the youth is bouncing to right now. I need to make sure that I'm connecting with the youth. Otherwise, I need to follow Niai and give him the funk that I used to give him, and he will still follow me till he's 60. You understand?
Yeah.
So I think that
I want to ask a question before I come to Ni. I want to ask a question. How much so in the business of music where relevance is key and feeding to the bigger markets, which always, I mean, they say in Ghana, for example, over 50% of people are youth, or 51 or so, or 52 thereabouts. Isn't it ideal for an artist to target the growing markets, and stay relevant than
yes, it is, but it all falls on the artist. No external force will push you back. If you're not out there, if you're not relevant, it's not because an external force is pushing you back. It's not because your fans are boycotting you. It's not because the media is boycotting you. It's because you are not feeding. You need to feed the populace. You need to feed them with good music. The more you feed them, the more they follow you. Listen, what I said was all right. Like, it was about my fans being with me as I grow. But still, I can release a funk right now. I mean, I'm doing stuff right now. I just started making new music right now, like recently. And what I'm playing, I know that the new boys will fall for it. I still have my mojo. I mean, I haven't lost my mojo. But me, myself, what I like, what I enjoy is the kind of sound that I used to play in my youth. It doesn't mean that I shouldn't follow what the boys are doing right now, what the boys want to do right now, but I can't bring myself to the kids' level. I can only give them something that has maturity, but still is in vogue for today. So it's tricky, but I don't think that any external force can shut any artist down.
Okay, so Hamad, let me throw this from what you've said. Let me ask Nyaitego this on his opinion on this matter. So let's bring into perspective an artist like Tagoe. Based with an artist like Tagoe, would you agree with Hamad to say an artist retires an artist? Or is it the industry, as in DJs, you coming from a DJ background, an on-air personality background, where maybe we haven't played much of his new music because he's still sharing music. I follow him on social media. He drops links of his new music, but have we retired him as an artist, as in we're not patronizing his music because he's dropping jams and funks and, songs that will go hot day today if it got the attention. Do artists retire themselves, or is it the industry that retire the artist?
Okay, let me first of all say hello to everybody out there. Number two, let me agree 100% with what Hama said. It is only the artist who can retire him or herself. It's not the record label. The record label just tells you that, look, let's break the contract. The fans can decide that we won't appear at your shows, maybe because we don't like the music you are playing. As for us, the DJs or people who work at radio stations or play at concerts, etc., we can decide not to play your music. Now, the reason why we don't play music is because, number one, either you don't give us the music, or number two, we don't like the music you are playing, or number three, the radio station, well, I worked at radio stations. The radio stations we are playing at have a certain criteria, and they say that we don't like this kind of music that these guys are producing or are singing, etc. So it has nothing to do with us DJs saying that we are not going to play a kind of song. Now, note that, and let me bring in my age. I am 45. I'll be 46 next year. I grew up to music from Bob Marley, Earth, Wind and Fire, name them, from the 70s, early 80s. Then Hammer started producing Paimuka, as he said. And like I said, until I'm 95 or I die, I'll still continue to listen to what he played. And if he goes back into playing, I'll still listen to his music. I will continue to go there. So if he brings in somebody and that music is good, I will continue to listen to those people. If Obrafo comes in and says that, look, I am coming back into music, then I will continue to listen to Obrafo because he's the kind of person I listen to. If Lord Kenya says I'm giving up my gospel thing and I'm going back into music, I will continue to listen to Lord Kenya. So who retired Lord Kenya? He said, I'm leaving. I'm going into Christianity, become a preacher. Nobody retired himself apart from him. Hama didn't retire him. The fans didn't retire him. No radio station retired him. I mean, if I'm wrong, somebody should tell me I'm wrong. So that's the way retirement goes. It has nothing to do with DJs. It has nothing to do with the fans. It has nothing to do with you. Jim Foley has nothing to do with Hammer. It's just the musicians who decide to retire at whatever point in time they feel is fit for them.
On that note, Ni, I want to ask you, why do you think that these musicians are quick to say, oh, it's the industry that is retiring them, is the industry that calls them OGs, is the industry that refers to them as former? Why do you think, with all the explanation you've given, why do you think that they find it so easy, and so comfortable to say that, oh, it's the industry?
Well, I cannot understand why they say that. Look, if you are old, you are old. I'm older than J. Foley, so yeah, I'm an OG. Hama is older than me, so Hama is an OG. You understand?
I'm older than you. I'm older than you.
Well,
I'm also 45.
that's fine. But if they say it's the industry, look, if you start music in 1996, okay, let's say Reggie Rockstone. Reggie Rockstone is about 50-something years old. Okay, he released his first album, I think in 96 or 97. right? If Black Sheriff comes today, people will say that, oh, Reggie Rockstone will be old school guy. It doesn't mean he doesn't know what he's about. It doesn't mean if he releases a new album, it won't sound good or it will sound deft or something of that sort. It's not the industry. I don't know what the artists really want to point out, but no, I honestly don't get why people say things they themselves don't understand. That's the only thing I can say.
So let me. I'm gonna come to Nia. Please, I want to ask a question. And just based on what you just said, and it'll come to Oteng's artist, Obrafo, and I'm sure Hama might want to make a comment on that. I think first of let's understand what we mean by retirement. Are we speaking about retirement as in coming out to publicly say that you are not doing music again, or you go cold, quiet, and when we, the fan, feel like, listen, we're not hearing from you, so we are retiring you. We are putting you in the place because you still want to, yes, you will always be an artist. We will know you as an artist, but you cannot also carry the same title as an artist when you haven't communicated anything to the fans, you haven't said anything, you go cold, and when the fan comes to sort of qualify you as a retired artist, then you jump back on your feet and say, who said I retired? I don't know if we get this we get this argument, we're getting this argument right.
Let me say something quickly. I work in a bank, okay? Now, per the law, at the age of 60, I'm supposed to retire. You understand? Now, there is no law that says as a musician or as a radio host or as a producer or as a painter or as a sweeper or as a driver, you should retire. I hope you understand. Now, if I'm a singer, there is no law that says at the age of 60, 65, 70, 75, go on retirement. However, if I'm 60 years or I'm even 35 and I lose my voice, can somebody force me to go and sing? Or can somebody force me to go and rap? I'll have to retire.
I think I understand what J. Foley is saying. I think that what you mean, if I understand it right, what you mean is that you're talking about not personally declaring that you're retiring, and the public seeing you as an old artist. Now, if you look at the algorithm on YouTube or anywhere, what you frequently watch is what YouTube gives you. Now, if you used to watch a lot of videos about farming and you stop and you start watching tech videos, your farming videos will relegate to the back. The algorithm won't show the farming videos anymore. They'll start showing tech videos like Apple. They'll start showing you reaction videos and stuff like that. Now, these things are just natural. The more I don't see something, the more I see it as something that has gone dormant. So what you're talking about is dormant artists, not retired artists. When you're dormant, you're dormant. You can't do anything about
Fantastic.
it. Yes. So it's the artist who is actually dormant. And so we are not, maybe we are using the wrong word. We are not saying that you have retired. You haven't come to proclaim that you have retired. But we think that because you have starved us for that long, it means you're dormant. And even if, I have an account at UBA that I haven't used in a while. Recently, I wanted to go and do something there, put money there. They told me that the account is dormant. So I have to come back to the bank and reactivate the account.
Well, the law states that those accounts can more or less be retired because then they'll be taken to Bank of Ghana.
Yes. So the bank told me that the account has been dormant. So if I want somebody to send money there, I should come and reactivate the account. So I think that we may be using the wrong words, but ultimately we understand what we are talking about.
Okay.
But you see, in my field, as a businessman, there's something that I've noticed. Repeat buyers. Repeat buyers are very important. You know that I do this at competing. And most of my customers are people who bought it yesterday and people who bought it 2 days ago. People who bought it 3 days ago, they are the people who buy today. Sometimes I get new buyers who come from out of the way to buy, even A1 bread. I get new people who buy out of the blue, but my main customers are repeat buyers. So Tagoe is a repeat buyer of Obrafo's wife. So if Obrafo releases music right now, before he gets the new boys who are growing up, who are 13, 12, 15 right now, who are now coming into the Obrafo world, you by all means get his repeat buyers, which are Weiyi and the rest, who really know him. So repeat buyers, like people who patronize your music from long are some people who will never leave you. So if you release new song, I guarantee that you make a hit if the song is good. So most of them are complaining that they are being snubbed, not because of anything, because you are not giving the people the music you want. But Molly said it, you can't fool the people all the time, only some of the time. So there are one-hit wonders who did one song and weren't able to do another hit again. And there are people who lost their mojo. There are some people who just got tired mentally and they lost their magic and they're not feeding us anymore.
Okay.
So I think that this is we are all saying the right things, but I think that,
exactly.
It's something that we can't.
I'm coming to you in a bit.
Do anything about it.
I'm coming to Oteng a bit, but please, just because you're on the Zoom call and I know you have places to go to, real quickly. So there was a statement from Abeku Santana that has sparked this conversation about calling Miss Bell a former artist. Would it have been a better description to say a dormant artist?
Yes, he would. I think that Abeku, Shada. I don't think that people should go at him. I think that if you lose stock, Shada.
I would just say the artist called
Miss Bell.
And leave it at that.
It'd be true.
A dormant artist or a former artist.
It'd be true. I mean, there's no need to describe. Yeah, I agree with you. There's no need to describe which artist it is. But I think that Abeku for be excused because one shudder, he just lose talk. This thing it happened to everybody. He didn't mean to let the girl go to the back. He was talking about, oh, you mean Miss Bell, because he hasn't heard from her in a while. Into one shudder, sir. Me, when I heard it, I didn't think a big deal of it.
Okay. Please, just hold on with me for a second. Oteng, is Obrafo a dormant artist?
No, I won't call him a dormant artist.
Explain.
Because by the time he's playing, he's playing shows. One, secondly, he has his new album coming, which he's working on. And aside that, his biggest concert was just about 3 years ago, 2019, like November. So if from that time till now and all the things that has been happening, if you call him that, then I don't know what, your perception may be.
First off, Hammer said that calling an artist dormant, and I'm just taking this from Obrafo, from Hammer and Tagoe. Calling an artist dormant isn't offensive. So
no, it's not.
Great.
It's not.
So now we're coming back to, shouldn't be offensive.
Well, that's offensive or not.
It shouldn't be offensive. So I'm asking,
depending on who you're talking to.
So I'm asking that an artist whose last tweet was October 6th, and all respect to Obrafo. He knows I love him. Hammer will attest to that.
Okay, so there is also one thing that I will prompt
and the last release was about 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, a last concert was about 3 years ago.
No, his last major concert.
Okay. Hammer wants to clarify something.
Okay, sure.
Yes, Hammer, you want to clarify something before we continue?
Make something clear real quick.
Okay.
Make something clear. Album releases are not the only kind of engagement of artists.
Yes,
so
true.
You can't be called dormant because you haven't released. Oteng rightfully said he's engaged in performances and all that. That doesn't mean that he doesn't. So Obrafo doesn't fall under that category. That category is for people who are not engaged, who are not engaging at all. Now, artists have a lot of avenues of revenue, a lot of avenues of outfits. They sell records, they perform, they do appearances. They have so many ways to make money. Even some people just go and do press soirees and just take photos and make money. But endorsement deals are also happening. The dormant artist is somebody who doesn't engage in any of this, But if you're an artist and you haven't released Dre released his first album 20 years after that he released the second album. Who does that? You see what I'm saying? But he wasn't dead. He wasn't dead because apart from the fact that he wasn't making music on his own, he was producing on the side, and he was also doing some shows with his old album. So I think that let's try and categorize the thing well.
Okay.
There are other engagements that can make an artist relevant. Yes.
Which will be doing that, but just picking up or taking to...
And last but not the least, Obrafour about 4 months ago was adored as the co-state book ambassador, which was recently, done at the Alisa Hotel. And it was that deals and everything happened because of who he is, because of his activity in music, his performances and all that. And not quite long ago, we had a very huge engagement at the we had Bliss on the Hills somewhere, a year or 2 years ago and all that.
And the show I brought.
I don't even want to go there, but I'm glad you that's
I'm asking questions.
That's just at the conference
I'm paid to ask questions.
You understand? And
I'm an active on-air personality.
I trust you, sir.
I haven't retired.
I trust you, sir. And you see, right after that, there's one thing that people do not know. These crop of artists plays some of the biggest and well-paid, private shows. And these private shows are high-profile people who don't even want to put, stuff about it out.
Yeah.
Our last private show, if I'm to tell you, you unfortunately I can't. You understand? So, talking about Obrafour as a personality has carved a niche for himself on a certain angle. There are some people today, who come from his era that when they drop music, it's like, Charlie, what is he trying to say? Because we've grown to understand that, that time, so today, it does not make sense, and it's relative anyway. So it does not make sense, and people to patronize them as at now, no? His peers are now mentally, very upgraded, and they feel like, was this the song that we were jamming to when we were kids? I don't even think I deserve to listen to this songs anymore. So that part is there. And we have those who, knew what they were doing and up to date, still makes sense, and people would want to engage them. And you see, people have built some brands for themselves to the extent that to take down his worth, he rather not deal with you. And Jay, you know what I'm talking about. I would talk for myself and the person that I manage as at this moment. To demean his worth, then we won't do it. If you can't afford what we believe we are worth. And you see, it's unfortunate how lately people feel like, so with your ubo on your match, into the a certain amount to be. No, let's be very honest with ourselves. These people are actually the crowd holders. You can find the guy who is reigning at this moment on stage, pay him all the amount to pull in the crowd, but I can tell you for a fact, within 15, 20 minutes, the whole crowd will be standing and, what is next? What is next? But I can tell you for a fact that you will bring Obrafour on stage. I'm using him because, you bring him on stage, and you can enjoy your back-to-back for as long as you want to. And you see, people make excuses because they do not have anything to offer. When somebody calls you a former musician or whatever they want to call you, ask yourself first of all, what process are you going through right now? What are you putting in place right now? If you want to capitalize on that to make excuse and kind of tap into the shine, so be it, because now it's all about trends and all that. Then fine, you can keep blaming people for calling you what they are calling you. But if you know your worth and you know what's in the pipeline and what you're doing and how much you're earning off the same music that you believe, should not be in a rush, just like some people are doing, then I think
Are you saying that Miss Bell shouldn't have been offended by that statement? Is that what you're driving at?
You see, Miss Bell, per her statement, wasn't offended just because Abeku said this. She made references to stuff
that happened in the
so
past.
it's accumulation of of other things. Sometimes somebody
so this
might
was just
go,
the tipping of the balance.
It triggered.
Yeah. Something had to trigger something. So sometimes people get offended, not because of what just happened, because they feel you're doing it too much, and that at this moment they need to call you out. They need to call you out.
Do we still have Hammer and Nyaitik on the line? I want to throw this to them as well. Do we cut short the longevity of artists in Ghana? Looking at our culture, are we quick to jump? Do we not enjoy the artists' time in music? Do we exhaust it properly before we jump on to the next and quickly, for want of a better expression, retire the artist ourselves?
From my side, I don't think that we have control over that. You see, anybody who tells you that he knows how these things work must be a super genius. You see, you can't control fate. You can't fight fate, and you can't control fate. The whole thing about artists getting to that relegation phase is because, listen, some of these artists, they lose their inspiration. You see, making music, for example, let me use me. I'm semi-retired, as all of you know. But
Am I got a confirmation?
Are
Because
you
saying this on national
we
TV
won't accept
so
it.
we can coach you well.
I'm semi-retired because I proclaimed it. I proclaimed it earlier on, long time ago, that that is what they said. It doesn't mean that I don't have music. My fingers are full of music. It is there. But you see, I lost a lot of inspiration. I was bored. I thought that, I needed more. For example, one of the things that made me bored with music was because I think studios at that time were closed. You see, I spent 20 years in a room without a window, 8 hours, playing music, uninspired. You see, until these boys go around the world, they go on stages, they come back to the studio, then one of my back. That's how I got fat. I got fat because I was sitting for long hours, eating late.
Hammer, you may have to position yourself well. The internet connection keeps breaking.
Music. And
Hammer, you may have to.
I thought I was tired. Okay, so I lost. You can hear me, right? You can hear me?
Yeah.
Fully.
Yes.
You can hear me? Okay, so at some point I lost the inspiration.
Yeah, the connection is terrible.
I became, I became something. Okay, it's terrible,
yes. Yes, I think it's we want to try and see if we can re-establish the connection again.
Let me round up. Let me round up. What I'm trying to say is that the reason why you see me all over the streets, jumping around, selling, making noise, running around the area, because it's like a dog who's been uncaged. Finally, I'm out of the studio and I'm everywhere. I'm in the streets. I'm happy. You see? So I was looking for something else for fulfillment, so WE. So you make, I'll try to fix my internet.
Yes.
Make you guys go on.
Ni, are you a dormant stroke retired DJ?
No.
Or if you come to my bedroom, my equipment is there. I use it all the
time. And would we have the right to call you a dormant DJ or a retired DJ?
I'm not dormant. I go to Regis to play all the time. I've been playing at a few parties. If you call, I will come. You can ask your brother when he was doing his old school jam at Regis. Whilst he was downstairs, I was upstairs playing. He joined me later on. So I am not retired. Okay. I am not dormant.
We wanted to clear that.
I would like to correct.
So on the subject of longevity, I want to find out. I want to get your take on there as well. That do we, quickly retire or get artists to become dormant, and in as much as they are still producing music, because we don't give them the attention anymore from DJs or from the fan base. They look like they become dormant and they're not penetrating or being able to compete with the new markets. What is your opinion on that?
Look, okay, look, like Hammer said, it's number one, it could be fate. You could also not be playing what naturally people want. Depends on what the radio stations want to play, etc., etc. But I just want to make a little comment on something that Hammer said. Maybe, look, if you realize, Kanye made some anti-Jewish statements last week or so. Mm-hmm. I can tell you for a fact that if Kanye releases a new album, nobody's going to play it. So in that case, the system itself will work against Kanye or Ye or Kanye West. I mean, depending on what name you want to call him. That system does not exist in Ghana. You understand? So for us, it's just about making your music right, knowing the right people, and hoping that the radio stations you take your music to or the DJs who you take your music to will actually play your songs. And of course, the people have to love it. That's the way I see it.
But on that issue, that one, I still say the blackballing. That one, you see, the platforms like Spotify will ban the music on the platform. Apple will ban it. So if all the outlets ban your music, you will have no choice. Nobody will listen. But if you have another avenue of reaching your fans that wouldn't demand that you go to bed with these giants, you will still get your people. But you see, if you can reach the people,
Bahama, we know that, for example, in the States, all the people whose color are like you and I are under the white people. And they are controlled by them. So unfortunately, he will not go that far. But here we are controlled by ourselves. You understand? That's why I just use that as an example. So in Ghana, our case is different.
So therefore, rounding up on what I said, I was saying that I was uninspired. That is why I had other options. I tried to go another way. I was bored. If you remember how I was all over the streets running left and right, that if you look at what I was doing, you can see that it was like a dog who's been uncaged, running around everywhere. Like I was in some room for a long time. When you uncage a dog, you see how he runs around. That's how I was. Because finally I was out and I was enjoying everybody. Because 20 years of my life, I was behind the scenes, hidden, making music. And so for other artists too, they may have other reasons. But me, myself, Nana Poku, what made me decide to slow down on the music was because I thought that it wasn't fair how we were relegated to the background, and I wasn't seeing much and I wasn't inspired. Because if you watch, Paimuka was as a result of my whole life outside the studio, coming to the studio. So the inspiration from my whole life is what became Paimuka. Now, after my inspiration for my whole life, after the Paimuka, I was stuck in the studio. Now, I wasn't going out again to go and get myself inspired. So we did studio. New artists come, you go. New artists come, you go. For a long time, you are tired. Your mind is tired. Then I felt like, Charlie, it's time for me to go out there and do other businesses. So that'd be why I was like,
all right. Oteng wants to.
Not Oteng.
Okay. All right.
So my question is in two parts. First of all, I want to find out what parameters do we observe before we reduce the artist to dormancy. I know in our laws, if someone goes missing for more than 7 years,
yeah.
they proclaim the person as dead. So when it comes to our music industry, and I'm saying our music industry, not the one in Ghana, is there like maybe a 6 months or a 1 year level of dormancy that relegates the artist or allows the fans to move away from the artist, even though he is doing all sort of things on the social media and whatnot, before we can say, oh, the artist is dormant? And secondly, what's the strategy for a dormant artist to come back into the system? So, for example, I grew up, or I came to meet Daddy Lumba music. I'm sure most of my mates enjoy the Lumba music, but we know what's hot now, right? So, if Daddy Lumba wants to do music, what is going through his mind? Is he going to do music for my fathers, or he's going to do music excuse me, that would apply to my fathers and me at the same time, because currently these are the kind of sounds that are hot, just to activate that kind of relevance
exactly
he once upon a time had.
I don't know who's going to take this.
Are we assuming that mainstream airplay or mainstream engagement is the only metric that measures
That's
relevance?
what he's asking.
That's what I'm asking.
Because I just want to clarify it.
Yeah, because it seems as though that if your music is experiencing some form of rotation, on mainstream radio, that is when you are. Because we've even had debatable conversations on social media where you compare the hottest artist right now to the biggest artist. I don't know if you've seen that kind of conversation.
I did that post as well. Yeah.
I mean, the whole time I've been quiet, right? And I've changed my views quite a lot. Listening to Weiyi and Hammer, my seniors. And I love what Hammer said about dormancy and retirement. Now, when the artist goes into dormancy, I believe it's from a personal perspective. It could be managerial, it could be inspirational, it could be personal, whatever. But that is the artist's decision. Most artists that go into dormancy, we see it clear. We interact with most of them. We know that Jay Foley has taken a break. We would not come on air and say Jay Foley has retired or fallen off. We know a plethora of artists who we can list here now that, oh, he's taking a break, she's taking a break, right? But those who are still making music, or those who are still trying to put out content, but are not being able to join the trend-setting waves or be playlisted into the media platforms that exist or be part of the conversation. That is where I think the main crux of the discussion today is. Where you have somebody who was a big success in 2002 and is still putting out music today, right? But because they are not A-listed and they are not the talk of the town, then we automatically assume that their effort is even wasted. So, because it's an old artist, and that is exactly what happened.
I disagree.
No, that I'm referencing this based on the case of what just happened with
Accessible. Okay, just 1 second.
With
for him to land.
Abeku and Miss Bell, right? That notion, you said Abeku lose stock. But as much as it slipped out for us to hear, a lot of industry people think it. That because I've not heard from Miss Bell in X amount of time, Miss Bell has dropped a song today, right? Instead of embracing that thing as, oh, Miss Bell has new music. What does it sound like? How can we push it forward? How can I do my job as an enabler? The reflex was, because I've not heard from Miss Bell in X amount of time, she's a former artist. That automatic switch is in everybody's head. So the moment they don't hear from Olele in a year and a half, and Olele says, "Here's my."
But what's the definition of not hearing from somebody? Because let me clarify this.
That's why I'm asking.
Miss Bell just end of last year, played on City's event.
Situation.
Yes. And I mean, it was beautiful. The performance, everything. Is it that we fail to research on these people to find out what's happening with them, or when their songs are not out there in their faces, then we believe they are not nowhere to be found?
That is why I'm asking, because this is an industry conversation.
Right.
From the average Ghanaian point of view, we make and unmake the artist, right? You are talking about the fact that she's playing concerts, she's doing this, she's doing that. I am asking that, is it that the songs that they put out do not experience the same airplay or mainstream rotation as though a Black Sherry song or maybe a Camido or Kiddy? That's why they are no longer.
I believe there is always a king of an airwaves at any point in time.
Okay.
But that does not take away what the masses do enjoy. Because sometimes a song might be all up in your face on air. It's a deliberate act to get that. Just like
that's why I asked the question on longevity.
Jay, TV, radio, press, digital. For some reason, what gets the most spotlight is what is trendiest at any particular time. So even when you have people doing things that are relevant but not trending, those relevant but not trending things get relegated. Like Obrafo playing a show somewhere. It's relevant because he's still active. It's still relevant to the brand. If you're an Obrafo fan, you know this. But it's not trending. So guess what? It gets shoved under the carpet. You said Miss Bell just played Situations. If her Situations performance was highlighted by the same press as much as it should have been, Abeku Santana would never assume that she's no longer active.
But why?
Do you get what I'm saying? Our only definition, the biggest problem is that our only definition for relevance is radio airplay. Our definition for relevance starts with radio airplay. The defining factor, you could be an artist, have a hit from 5 years ago, still be doing tours, shows with your 5-year-old hit. But if you are not radio relevant today, right, that misconception begins.
I disagree because how many people even to listen to radio these days?
Radio makes.
Let me hear from.
Well, let's let me hear from.
The song.
Nia, you want to react to that?
Head.
Yes.
You see, number one, as much as we may have said that because somebody doesn't make music in a long while, that person is dormant. I don't think we should necessarily be calling those people dormant until they have, number one, come to actually say that I'm not singing, or they've lost their voices and they can't sing. That's number one. Number two, when you look at the people of today or musicians of today who are singing, they are relying on songs that were sung in the 80s,
sampling the songs,
60s, 70s, etc. They are going back to the days when, I'm sorry to say this, music was music. Hama will agree with me.
Hama, do you agree with him?
No, he knows music. He understands what I'm saying. You get me. Now you realize that one of the panelists in there said, well, Miss Bell plays somewhere, but because she's not trending. Does it always have to be about what is trending?
That's why I'm asking.
Why are we looking for what is trending? Why must it be about what we can sell? Is it always about money?
Exactly what I'm asking.
Must it always have to be about money?
Yeah.
Why can't we push what will inform, what will inspire people, what will make people sensible? I hope you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Because that is all it seems we are doing.
I think that we are mixing two conversations here. One conversation is about the automatic dormancy state of something or an artist, and the other is it engineered? Is the dormancy engineered? Now, something that you should know: the dormancy state is not. We don't need to even hear things like, "Oh, should the artist come out to say he's dormant?" Nobody can say they are dormant. Only the onlookers can say they are dormant. Now, it has nothing to do with your relevance. Now, somebody mentioned having been on mainstream. Now, all around the world, there are people who have triple platinum albums reigning. There are people who are number one. There are people who are not number one, and they are still big artists. The biggest 100 songs on the Billboard, if you are on there, it means you are super relevant today. But if you are not on there, it doesn't mean that you are a bad artist or you're a dead artist. It just means that you are not relevant today. And so we need to separate that conversation.
I want to ask a question. I want to quickly ask a question on the subject of relevance.
Okay.
What does it mean for an artist to be relevant? What does it mean for an artist to be relevant?
Okay, so the relevance I mentioned, listen, the relevance I mentioned, I'm not trying to proclaim this is what and what you need to become relevant. It is like it is a relative. You don't have to be told. When an artist is in vogue, they are in vogue. Listen, last year, I myself went on a rant for Black Sherif. Today, somebody is saying that the industry is favoring Black Sherif and not pay attention to others. But last year, March, May, I went on a serious rant after I heard the boy when he was coming up quietly. And I went on a serious industry rant. Even Jay Foley, that be how Jay Foley heard of Black Sherif. I remember he came to the page to comment, say, wow, who is this? Reggie Rockstone, everybody, Miss Bell, they all came to comment. I made a big issue about Black Sherif, saying that why have industry people forsaken this boy? And after that, everybody started talking about it, and his team beefed up, and they went. But nobody was saying that Black Sherif was being favored. But today they are saying he's being favored. He's not being favored. He's just giving the people what they want today. So we are not trying to say when you are irrelevant, somebody declared you irrelevant or somebody declared you relevant. It is what you do. Me right now. I am very respected in the producers community, but I'm not relevant to the music of today. I'm not relevant, but you know the means say the boys they dog me. When they see me, they salute me.
Yeah.
They know that I influence them. You see what I'm saying? So it is not about that. I think that we separate that conversation properly.
I want to find out, and because we have you both there, I'm trying to understand whether we are stretching the conversation in regards to the fact that when you were speaking earlier, he mentioned the fact that during when he started, he was listening to some music from Bob, then he came to you. Now, the people we are talking about, they have a certain niche. I want to assume that the niche is somebody like Ni, you, Hammer, and people of a certain age. Now, is it that the niche that they appeal to are not the ones we see every day on social media? They are not the ones who listen to radio often now. They are not the ones, they have different things they're doing. So like Weiyi Oteng said, they are doing private parties. And so because these people know that this is my niche, I don't have to find them on social media. I don't have to have rotation on radio to appeal to my niche. I want to understand, maybe we are stretching the conversation by not looking at it from this perspective.
Okay.
Well,
you have some points there. It's a great point.
I think that
Oteng speaking,
I think that probably we're stretching this conversation, and we are maybe leaving out the space we are supposed to be like targeting to see what we can
I
unearth.
disagree, but you finish.
If I'm to finish, what we can actually like do about it, because let's not kid ourselves. This is happening. People feel that. And you see, now everybody is busy. You don't want them to come dig you. Obviously, they believe that social media is global. So at any point in time, something should reflect from your end. But I said something earlier that has got to do with the generation of the Hammers, the JQs, and all that generation. It has something. They are behind a certain wall. And until we are able to let their mindset tell them that this wall is just a curtain. It's not a brick wall. So kindly move the curtain and you will see the new world here. Now, this is what I'm saying. With all these things, when Lumba played Yentubia, he wasn't your mate. I mean, he wasn't your type of person. But when the song was good, you really didn't need anybody to come tell you that the youth of 20 or 13 or should enjoy. Everybody from A to Z, we all enjoyed it.
Not to take a win out of your sail, right? Because as a young man, right, having listened to Lumba songs, I know the caliber of person Lumba is, right? So that nostalgia is there. So when he drops a record like that, automatically it would make me go and listen. But there are some people coming from that same group of people who have dropped songs and still didn't catch the vibe.
Okay, so kindly, no, let me go through it.
Okay.
So once that happened, once they dropped the song, you see, dropping a song is another thing. Mm-hmm. Having your image intact is another thing. Mm-hmm. I keep saying these people are behind a certain brick wall. Mm-hmm. Having that person in front of that brick wall tell them that this is just a curtain, let me sail you through, is another thing. So now, a song will be dropped, very nice, is doing so well. Unfortunately, these people were used to, like I said earlier, people giving them money and selling the records. So they had no reason going on social media trying to dance and all that.
Let me ask you.
So what I am saying is, these people are behind a certain wall. Now, we should constantly keep educating them on how to, reveal the new world to them. So, when you have the
digital world,
take advantage of the new technology.
Exactly. When you have the right plug, when you have somebody who understands that, now the money is not a circle. The money is not within Accra. The money is not with the guy who will come and take your cassette to Techiman to go and sell. The money now is global. Yeah. Then the person will understand that, now when I release the song and I'm able to get it here and here and here, per the stats, when the songs do well and I have how many people like this to stream, this is what I get.
It's good to know. Answered my question.
So are you blaming the artist?
No, it's good. It still hasn't answered my question.
All right,
let's knew what you're talking about. I'm asking, is the artist refusing to do that because he believes that his niche is not in your new world? His niche is in maybe is Weiyi who is in the band.
But what you say, believing that Weiyi is also on social media.
No, wait, but he thinks that let me rather do the private parties. Let me rather find alternative means.
No.
That
you
social
see,
media
what Weiyi is saying is that regardless whether you have a millennial,
augmenting.
Whether you have a millennial,
I don't want us to
believing where
from your point. I want to hear from our guests who are online.
Kindly let me.
No, I'm saying from your point. I want to hear from the guests who are online because they are talking and because we are over. Yeah.
So let me
finish up.
So yes, dear. Why you run on baby or what? When you are lost, you only know where you are. And sometimes when we're in boarding school, you see the food we eat is the ish. You come home and they're giving you good food and you're kind of like, Charlie, what is this? It takes you 2 weeks, 3 weeks to...
Which school did you go to?
Please.
It takes you 2-3 weeks to kind of like adjust to the home food. And, so all that I'm saying is, these people are very okay. They are very fine. And don't forget, around that time, the money was coming in such that most of them did projects, so they are comfortable.
So does that constitute the relevance of the artist?
Is
it the money that makes the artist? Is it the artist's name in the mainstream news, the mainstream radio that makes the artist? Is it the stream? I want to know what contributes to the relevance of the artist.
It's not only the release that contributes to the making of the artist.
Is it the money
his activity.
Okay.
It's his activity by any means necessary. Okay. So let me tell you, my last biggest project that I did was for Rocky Dawuni that got the Grammys. After that, I'm strictly into
Grammy music.
I'm strictly into advertising and so many other things, radio, TV, and all that. That does not mean I'm not relevant.
Okay.
You know why? I may have capitalized on the music and the bass to upgrade myself to a certain level where I may not be producing, but every day I'm being talked about because I am working tirelessly around the same joint to make sure that a lot comes to place. The musicians,
you feel relevant, right? It's like the artist.
I don't have to feel relevant.
What do you see? It's like the artist
making a point.
Like
I have a question to that point as well.
Kirani and Walasi were here. And they said they define their success, right? You don't get to define what success is for them. So I want to find out from you, right? I know you're not an artist, but you're a producer. Does feeling relevant come from the artist's perspective that because I'm doing this and that and that and that, I am so relevant to the community I serve? Or it's coming from the audience who gave the relevance when you started?
Exactly. So you see, there is always people out there whose comment, whose activity that they share with you tells you how bigger you're growing, or how relevant you are, or how you are being talked about in a certain space. Okay. If it's about you determining your relevance, then you will be inside the room and say, I'm relevant, and still sleep inside the room. There needs to be some form of engagement between you, your craft, or what you are into at that moment with the audience.
Yes.
Now, the audience necessarily doesn't have to be those on radio talking about you. They don't have to be
now the questions are being
those
answered.
on TV talking about you.
Yes,
or they don't have to be part of the 10 Twitter trends, but rather those people at the end of the day who you relate to. They
go ahead.
All right. Wait, hold on, please. Because of time on their link, I think there's a point they want to raise. Right. Hammer, real quickly.
Yeah, make a roundup real quick. For my side here, so I'll go leave you guys to discuss in the studio. Basically, you see this so-called wall and things way.
Hammer, I'm told we have about 3 minutes on your clock, so if you can just run it up for me.
Yes, that's what they do. I think that they for slow down. Now, the sad thing about this walking is that most of the old artists, right? The old artists, some of them up to today, they don't even have their music on streaming sites.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
These are the things. Yes, some of them don't have some songs or some music on the streaming sites. I mean, something that they should have done. So it is the drive has to come from the artist, and it's come. Mm-hmm. I mean, and they come. It's important that if you want to join today, the relevance of today, if you want to join the people of today, people are consuming music differently. And if they can't find your music on their subscriptions on Apple, on Spotify, you are already failed. You have already lost guard. They are not organized. So before we talk about curtains, let the artists themselves notice that, put your music, make sure that you are represented fully. So that if you have an excuse that there are people are boycotting my music, the media is not playing my music, we will understand. But first of all, do your part. Have you put everything that you need to put out? Mm-hmm. Are you represented online? We stream music differently now. We enjoy music differently now. Nobody is doing hard copies anymore. Mm-hmm. So you need to be online. Every single product of yours has to be online. You know what I'm saying? And exactly. You see, it's sad when most of these people are still holding on to people. The youth boys when they come, my children. I can only use my children for example. They consume music differently. Subscriptions alone. Mm-hmm. Nobody they have time go put so many songs on a device. Mm-hmm. So put your music online, then you start complaining. If after that nobody's minding you, complain.
Okay, so I need please finish off with me at 3 minutes, please.
From a DJ's point of view, yes, your music must go online for the world to get access to it quickly. But yes. I can tell you the fact that records and CDs are still being made.
It doesn't matter. No, it doesn't matter. What I'm saying is that if you want to play with today,
record shops still exist because data is not as effective as it is.
Master, you be diehard vinyl fan and CD fan. You different matter. You see, the times have changed. You can't. We have access to 1 million songs online. We have access to everything.
Exactly. That cannot be compared to hard copy music.
Is booming. Shazam is booming because when somebody hears sound, hold on. When somebody hears sound, it goes Shazam. When somebody hears sound for TikTok, it goes Shazam. Now, if you have somebody put your songs on TikTok, listen. Recently, I've been putting out videos on Instagram with some of my boys' music. I just put my boys' music there. And I put it there. People Shazam. The Shazam goes very high because there are youth boys who haven't heard some of our Bradford's classics. There are youth boys who haven't heard. Recently, I put a video with Adam's song on there. I put a video out on Instagram with Adam's song. Yeah. It's on Facebook. That video has 1.2 million views. in 4 months, in less than 4 months.
Yeah.
And Adam called me and said his Shazam for that song has skyrocketed. Because people want to know, hey, so what song is this? They Shazam them and they go and stream. They Shazam and they go and stream.
Okay.
There are so many ways to get your music out there.
Okay, all right.
Put your music out, then we can have a different conversation.
Just because the link might cut off in a minute. So, you were saying... Okay, all right. But anyway, thank you very much, Hammer and Nyai Tagoe, for joining us on the conversation here. Truly appreciated.
Thank you to your panel. Very, very intelligent conversation.
Thank you very much. And nobody's retiring anybody. Hammer, before you go, and before you and me go off, Hammer, please, when are you going to release a song with Obrafo? Because I think for some of us who know you and Obrafo collaboration, you still have owe us a certain hunger that we've been waiting for. And
Facts.
It's becoming a problem. And people like DJ Nyai Tagoe need to play those songs.
I know Hammer's secret, but I won't tell you. He and I had a conversation, I think 2 months ago. Okay, he said it himself. So I've kept quiet.
New equipment.
Yes, and plenty of money.
And also, lastly, how come we've never had...
I sent out of his way to buy me software. Listen.
Hammer, please, just before it cuts off, how come we've never had a Hammer Reggie Rockstone?
Make a talk.
No, Hammer, it will go off. I don't want this to cut off because we have to. I want to find out why we've never had a Hammer and Reggie Rockstone conversation.
What do you mean? Music?
Yes.
Oh, me and Reggie will be boys, but we never connect for the music side. I don't know why, but we never connect.
That's interesting.
Interesting.
Just say we reason on a different level, not music.
Okay, we'll have this conversation.
I really Reggie Rockstone be my.
We'll have conversation on why some people have never done productions before or records before, collaborations, because it's a very important topic. But thank you very much. I'm told I have to get it off now. Thank you very much, the two of you, for being on here with us. But Oteng, let me come.
Just a quick one.
Let me come to this.
Before you go to Oteng, there's a message here I want to read. I think it would also tie in with what you're going to ask Oteng. This is from Ro JJ on Twitter. He says, Jay Foley, no one can retire an artist. I had a situation with Miss Now of YFM and Weiyi Oteng on AM Plus in 2016. That made me feel my sound was old school. But I kept working to put out songs that are opening new avenues for me now.
So Oteng dogged him.
You say Oteng.
You say Oteng dogged you.
No, people have their preference.
Roger is a different. He's a different.
No, it's because you see, Nia said as a DJ.
Good morning to Roger. Yes.
Nia said as a DJ, you can you bring your song and they can choose to.
Yeah, people have their preference. It's for you.
No, but he didn't say that. He said if it doesn't work with him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so it's not like
no, but stations have their prepreference. Stations have their preference.
No, but even to come to that, I think radio is a very broad spectrum. I mean, 24 hours.
Yeah.
So we have so many times within the day, and it's about time program managers put their foot on the ground to say that 3 to 4 is high life. This to this is Afro. This to this because you have one. DJ come in the morning.
Remember, they'll play cools at night and hip hop.
Exactly. You have one DJ come in the morning and he's playing a certain song. Afternoon, the same. Why? Because that is where the traffic is. Can we just ignore the traffic and make sure that everybody gets what they need?
Just to correct you, most stations have got a very good playlist. So it's a few.
Yeah, most stations have.
Exceptions will not make the rule, but
no, what he's talking about is the repetition.
I am defending radio stations.
No, but that is true.
From where you are sitting, I can tell you that there are stations that I am saying the catalog of music.
Exactly.
The catalogue of example. Here's an example. The catalogue of music that we were playing back in the day at YFM in the morning, Miss Na, to Sammy Forson, to Afternoon with Joel, to Jeremy, to Caroline in the evening. But we're all catalogued differently.
If you're going there, let me remind you.
Yes.
When you guys deliberately wanted to push Etumpa to a certain level, you realize what you did. It didn't matter in the morning, afternoon, evening. Small girl, like the thing was an advert for you.
No.
So you see,
hold on. Let me correct. I am well versed in this business.
Thank you.
playlisting a certain song or some song for the purposes of promotion has nothing to do with
so exactly now music. So you know what happens, everybody decides to playlist some certain songs on his show, and at the end of the day, that's what we get.
Don't get it confused. There are some songs that are for maybe purposes of promotion.
But do you remember that song like that?
I need to finish.
Yeah. Kindly.
There are some songs that are done purposely for promotion purposes that are playlisted in such sense. Even if you listen to Capital Extra and all these foreign stations that use softwares, which we have some here on our Artiste technology that should put you here. It settles the music. Those ones I was in London. I was listening to Mr. Easy's Bankulais or so. It was playlist from morning to night. It was played. So those ones were. There are exceptions.
Okay. So what
paid or promotion, paid or stations interest.
So now
fine.
This is exactly.
But I'm just saying that most stations. Yeah. I didn't want to blame all. But I have a question I want us to answer.
What I'm also saying is
this question might be answered.
That was just a song, right?
Yes.
Imagine we have 10 people paid promo playlisting. What happens?
Okay, so you hold on.
Thank you. Now you go to that question.
We'll answer the question.
I
want to talk about something now about this conversation we've had. Generally, musicians and their career, unlike somebody who is into law or who is into, all those white collar jobs, there seems to be, and we mentioned entitlement. There seems to be this, you can't do this to the fans and leave us. And because in your job as an artist, the fans are like play a very, very heavy role in there. So you can't just throw the fan off by when you needed us. You wanted our attention, you put it out there, you made us understand that you were an artist. When you decided to relegate yourself, or you decided to, and that's why I like Miss G's point, you decided that
it's my own,
so now I release once a year. And when we come asking for you give us the context that, I haven't retired, and I think it's a bit of an unfairness to your fans, because like I'm sitting here saying that I want an Obrafo music. I want looking as retired. I want certain artist music, but I'm not getting it, and I'm hungry for it. And so when you come to me at your time, and you come and release, and you expect that you would have my attention, I'm sorry, Last Minute has it.
Okay.
So it's also a flaw on the artist side where there's a certain lack of communication to the people, and I mean there's so many artists. Example, let me say that Stage J comes to release a song right now.
Or even D-Crash.
He's my friend. He's my very good friend. Stage J release a song right now. I'll be angry at Stage J. I'll be very mad at Stage J. We have a minute to go.
Let me meet you halfway. You see, technology is not advanced here.
Because I love Stage J.
Okay, so technology is not advanced. Technology is not advanced here, right? So you see, way back in the States where technology and everything is advanced, when they are kind of like slowed down there, because their music was able to move beyond the borders, they start trooping in here to come make money from Africa. Now ask yourself, the artist who is in Africa and has, is done within the circles and needs to move out, where do they move out to? So technology also plays a role. We need to go back and make sure we bring all these people to platform to make sure that the world starts to hear from them. Because Bisakede, I testify to the fact that he makes most of his money from the Ivorian countries, even though he's a Ghanaian. Francophone country. Yeah. Even though he's a Ghanaian, because he was able to meet a certain platforms that is open to the world. So even when Ghanaians are tired of you, because you can't stay in this room, keep doing the same thing, and people won't be tired of you. But once you move out, it becomes something new and fresh to the people.
Fantastic point you phrased there.
I believe
I'm waiting
that
for Weiyi, Oteng, and Bravo. No. Have they worked? No, they worked.
Yeah, he manages him.
I'm just saying I want collaborations of people who haven't collaborated.
The collaboration people keep punching me for his knee and trick still every day.
I know, right?
When you and Trick,
the two of you, it's another conversation we have another day. But thank you very much, Oteng.
You're most welcome.
We appreciate your time in here as well, and to our team, everybody here, we've done a great job. We're back here tomorrow to round up the week as well. It's been a great
here tomorrow.
It's been a great one here on the show. Please keep on still watching 3 Music and also log on to +89.9 FM. Thank you.